What's going on, everyone? Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the Ducks Dish podcast. I'm your host, Max Torres, with Scoop Duck on 3, coming to you on Saturday, July 12th, 2025. Appreciate you guys being along for another episode of the pod. Really excited for this one. Going to be bringing on a guest. So I always get a little bit extra excited when I get to talk to somebody else. You guys hear me talk to J-Hop all the time, but I'm going to be bringing on a coach, which is always a fun perspective to add here to my coverage of Oregon recruiting that you guys are used to over on Scoop Duck. But I don't want to belabor it anymore. I'm super excited to be joined by Coach Kevin Wheeler Jr. He is the founder of HD Performance and the wide receiver coach of the 24K 7-on-7 organization. And he's based out of Central Florida. So without further ado, Kevin, thanks so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm glad. I'm blessed. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, super glad to have you on, man, and just pick your brain about the state of college and high school football right now. We were talking a little bit before we went on about how I'm trying to learn more about Florida high school football because Oregon's kind of trying to push in there a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone sees all the highlights and the plays and everything. Of those guys out in the Sunshine State. So we'll talk a little bit about that maybe down the line. But the main reason I wanted to bring you on, Coach, was to talk about Oregon wide receiver commit Messiah Hampton. Obviously, you have kind of grown a little bit of a relationship with him from your guys' time together on 24K, and I've gotten to see him with your own eyes. I haven't got to put my own eyes on him yet. He hasn't made his way out west, unfortunately, but I hope to sometime soon. So before we talk too much about Messiah, maybe we just start off by giving a little bit of background about yourself. So a little bit of a repeat of what we talked about before we hit record here. But where are you from, and kind of what do you have going on now?
Okay, yeah. So thanks for the intro and everything. Like I said, I'm originally from Newport News, Virginia. Everybody in the football world calls me Wheels. I got that name when I went to Eastern Michigan. My coach, actually, who's at Syracuse now, Deion Maddox, gave me that nickname. He's another Florida guy. He's from Tampa. So, he knows speed. So they said I was fast. So and my last name Wheeler. So he's like, I got a nickname for you. So they gave me the name Wheels. So that's where it comes from. That's what everybody calls me. So now I'm known as Coach Wheels. I'm the owner of HD Performance, founded that back in 2020. I was training a lot of guys around the country. But now based here in Orlando, Florida, coach at the high school ranks, coach at TFA last year, and also coaching at the 7-on-7 ranks with 24K.
Great. Okay, so we got a certified ball knower for sure. Played college ball yourself, it sounds like, at Eastern Michigan. So that's awesome. The one that I kind of wanted to just start off here to tee it up a little bit. We talk so much, at least I talk so much when it comes to recruiting coverage, Coach, about just the stats, the offers, the visits. I'm looking for the scoop, all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But we so often, I feel like, tend to get, I feel like it's easy to get lost the person, the human aspect of recruiting. The whole idea of more than an athlete, because these guys are more than athletes. So I want to start off this little interview talking about Messiah. Just what can you tell us about Messiah, the young man? How does he carry himself? What's it like to be around him? Anything like that?
Oh man, Messiah, where do I start? He's a great young man. From the first day I met him, how he conducts himself with the maturity, the respect and everything. Like, you could tell he has a good home base, and a background. And also too, he's a man of God and he lives in that. Not saying that he's perfect, you know what I mean? But, he strives to, be a great example of what it is, to live for Christ and use his influence, his platform, and influence to help others along their way in their journey, on their journey as well. And with that being said, I think that's a big part of a reason why he's having a lot of the success that he has to go along with his hard work, but also his character, his print and who he stands on, as a young man and his principles and everything. Like I said, like he's a man of God. He has favor on his life, and you can see it as he starts to continue to ascend and just receive a lot of the things that, that he's worked for and everything like that. And it's just a testament to who he is as a young man, his character and his principles and who he stands as.
Yeah, it definitely seems like he's very rooted in faith from what I've been able to glean from following him on social media, and then the couple of interviews that I've been able to get with him. were just an absolute pleasure of a conversation to have. A guy that's just really grateful to have the opportunities coming his way. I remember I interviewed him after he got offered by Oregon. You have the whole storyline about he was Ross Douglas's first offer after he got hired by Dan Lanning back in February, I think it was, and Messiah definitely, just from my interactions with him, I can echo everything that you're saying, Coach. So that's just awesome. Um, and then I think the other layer to explore here is what he can do on the field, because that obviously makes him really, really special. And he's full of highlights, it feels like. So I'm going to throw on some of Messiah's highlights here if you guys are watching us on the Scoop Duck YouTube channel. And just to kind of get into the nitty gritty about, who he is as a receiver and as a player, I'm just going to start off by asking, what's your coach's take on Messiah?
My coach's take on him, man. He's a good athlete, great athlete. Pure outside receiver, but his versatility allows him to be able to do both. Strong hands at the catch point, plays through traffic, high points the ball, good balance. Like I said, like nitty gritty, fights for extra yards, as you can see on this play right here. Just a complete receiver. Like I said, still continue to grow and learn and in position as we all are. But that's the beauty about him. Like even with his talent, like he still desires to learn. I just had him last week. I had my receiver retreat down here in Orlando, Florida. Had guys from all over the country come in, fly in, and stayed for 4 days. And Messiah was there, and he just soaked up all the knowledge. Like at the front of the line, listening, attentive. He continues to grow, get better. Like I said, I mean, the things that he do already now, like catching the ball, run after the catchability, fighting for extra yards, those things, and then just having to come in this to the retreat and then learning more and being able to apply it to his natural game. Like being like with his release right there, being able to shield the hands, get hands off, and then go attack the ball in the air. Some of those things that he already does. Then now just getting a better understanding of what he's doing at the position and just applying it. And I think that's what where he excels, because like I said, he has the ability and the talent. As he continues to grow as a receiver and get that understanding, like, I mean, like this, like, is no, I won't put a limit on him. Like like his ceiling is high.
He certainly sounds like a receiver that any coach would want to add into their room at the college level. I like how you shared some perspective there, that he sounds like he really has it between the ears as well, just his ability to soak up that knowledge and then apply it to his game. I mean, there's so many different things that I think can kind of make wide receivers special in today's game of football. Obviously, it starts with catching the ball. You're not going to do much if you can't catch the ball. But is there like any one trait of Messiah's game, Coach, that you think just really stands out and makes him special?
Um, in his tape, he has great run after the catch ability. I'm getting to see him more in person. He has a vertical piece to his game that separates him. You know what I mean? Like he can stretch the field, and like with his strong hands, like and high point and attacking the ball, I think that separates him. From a guy his stature and his size and everything like that. Just the way he plays the game and being a vertical threat.
Okay. Yeah. So it sounds like he's got some speed to go along with the hands and the yards
Mm-hmm.
after the catch ability that he has with his game. You
And
talked about how he. I'm sorry.
elite
Go
ball
for it.
skills. Elite ball skills. You know what I mean? Like he can contort his body in certain ways to make certain catches. Like he had a catch down in Miami where this past OT7. Man, like really set it. Helped us propel us in that game and helped us win that game. It was a diving catch, extended away from his body, all fingertips. I mean, like that's just those type of things.
Yeah, those are like that. Those are like game breaking, game changing kind of plays when you have that effort and you can reel it in the clutch situations. I think I saw that one on social media. Maybe I'll be able to finesse it a little bit and try to get it on the screen here for folks that are watching. Um, but when we were talking before, Coach, about the retreat a little bit and how you've gotten to see him in person. Obviously, you've seen ball all over the country,
Mm-hmm.
and just have a really good perspective with that. But you talked to, when you initially heard about Messiah, like, okay, this guy's from New York. I mean, I think I probably speak for both of us when I say that New York's maybe not the biggest football state.
Mm-hmm.
I think Seven McGee is the last guy that I covered from New York, who was also from Rochester. So cool little tidbit there. But seeing Messiah and seeing him kind of next to guys from Florida and other states at the retreat that you had mentioned, because I think Larry Miles was at that one as well, if I'm
Mm-hmm.
remembering that correctly, and a couple of other top Florida guys. Um, what's your thought on how he stacks up with some of these top guys? Because I know he also just really made a name for himself in the offseason on the 7-on-7 circuit, and just rocketed up the rankings.
Yeah, to that point, I mean, like you said, being around those elite 7-on-7 guys, that's when I first saw him in person when he came to the 24K showcase. And I was kind of familiar with him just because of my relationship with Coach Douglas and Coach Maddox up there when they were at Syracuse. So they mentioned the name to me. And then when we put out the rosters, like guys who were going to come on, Coach Douglas had texted me, was like, y'all get Messiah, like, hey, he can play. And my response was like, I mean, yeah, he got ability. I like his tape. I just want to see him against those other elite guys. And in that showcase, man, he really stood out. Like he stood out. I mean, going against top DBs, another Oregon commit, like Devin Jackson, like they had some great battles. Going against other, 4-star and other elite guys at that showcase. I mean, he really impressed me. I mean, I called Ross, was like, hey, this kid can play, like he's good. So just seeing him from that, and then from the first day I seen him, like just on a continuous basis, being able to compete at an elite level, and then and dominate. Saw him at UA Miami at the Under Armour Miami camp, and he dominated. You know what I mean? Taking the top off the over going over top on guys, being deep threat, running good routes with comebacks, curls, things of that nature, creating a lot of separation, and then being strong at the catch point. And that's another when he was down in Miami, Florida, South Florida, where football is highly respected. And then at the retreat, with his ability, like I said, being attentive, paying attention to details, and being able to apply and get an understanding. I mean, like he fit right in with those guys. You know,
Nice.
there was some elite receivers at the retreat as well. So
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, there's no shortage of receivers. I feel like every year coming out of the state of Florida. I mean, look at the hottest receiver in college football right now, Jeremiah Smith. He's from Florida, and
right.
then Oregon recruited Dallas Wilson last cycle. And I know that Duck fans would have loved to have him, but he's over there at Florida now in Gainesville making some noise. Maybe we'll get to see him a little bit his true freshman year here in the fall. So a lot of great receivers coming out of that area. I think one of the other things that I'm curious to know, Coach, since you have obviously a good handle on the receiver position and
Mhm.
Messiah, where do you think he kind of still has some room to grow or needs to grow to ultimately find his way onto the field once he gets to Oregon?
And like I tell all the receivers, that transitioning from just the speed and the strength of the game. So just continue to get stronger. I'm not saying that he's weak in those areas, but that's any receiver leaving from high school to going to college, but also to the knowledge piece. Getting there and learning the playbook and things, and then just also continue to work on their craft, getting in and out of breaks efficiently, um, being strong at the release point, whether with your hands and things of that nature, because it's a more physical game, especially in the Big Ten. So working on those things. And I think he does those things good, but it's just like as he continues to get better and better and better, I think that's something that will continue to separate him and give him an opportunity to get on the field early.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, and I think that fans are excited to look at the receiver room in Eugene now. I've been
Mm-hmm.
thinking about maybe writing a story about it. It's just been in my head a lot lately. Like Evan Stewart's injury is obviously a huge bummer if you're a
Mm-hmm.
Duck fan. But as someone who's been covering this team for a while now, like I'm just excited to see these young receivers get a shot, and that's certainly what it's going to look like here in the fall when the season comes around. I know you got about 5 more minutes or so, Coach. So I want to be respectful of your time. So like two more things kind of come to mind for me. You talked about how you have a relationship with Coach Ross Douglas,
Mm-hmm.
who we're kind of learning more about here out on the West Coast, but we're waiting to see what the product on the field is going to look like. And I don't even know if we have. I think we have one interview with him from spring ball. But
Mm-hmm.
what do people need to know about Ross Douglas, whether it's as a person or as a coach with the X's and O's?
Man, Ross, man, he's a great guy, stand up guy, very solid. He is who he is. You know what I mean? Like you're going to get what you're going to get from him. Straight shooter, like not going to BS you. Like he's very um very personable, very honest. Just an all around great guy. And then when it comes to football, man, very intelligent. Understands the game on both sides, offense and defense, also special teams, so all three phases. Understands the game very well. Understands the details. Knows what it takes at both levels, especially with him being at the NFL level with the Patriots, and then being at the college level last year at Syracuse, and things that they were able to accomplish at there with the room that he had and everything like that, and just continue to groom those guys and help those guys elevate. I think so. Oregon fans should be very, very excited about the man as in head of that receiver room in Eugene. I mean, I think he's gonna do some great things with the talent that you guys have that they have in that room, and man, they should be excited about him.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. I mean, he has a track record of success. I think it's like a little bit of a wild card since he's from the Midwest originally.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe not a ton of guys on the staff, as far as I know, that are from that area come to mind. So that's one of the things we're going to be looking for this year is just what does a Ross Douglas wide receiver room look like? What does a Ross Douglas wide receiver play like? And that's part of why we're excited for this football season to get rocking and rolling. Coach, the last one I had for you now, you can correct me if I'm
Before that,
wrong. Oh yeah,
before that, I
go
just say
for it.
one other thing. He gonna coach them boys hard. He gonna be very demanding, but he gonna love them up as well, relate to them, and he's gonna make sure like they play the game of football and be tough. And he gonna also help them groom as men. So.
Great. No, that's awesome. Awesome insight. I love it. And I think that's obviously something that's super important now is like, especially when you have a little bit of a younger coaching staff like Oregon has, you can't
Mm-hmm.
overlook the importance of that part of it. Especially because, look at someone like Messiah, you're going all the way across the country. And that is something that plays into the recruiting process is like, there had to be something at play there to make
Mm-hmm.
him and his family comfortable with going all those miles. So I love that point that you brought up, Coach.
For sure.
Oh, all right, the last one I wanted to ask you here, Coach. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, like I was saying, but I imagine you have a good idea of what recruiting looks like in
Mm-hmm.
today's world with the receiver retreat, and then a lot of the guys that you coach on 24K are like major national recruits. It's no secret that like recruiting is just wild now, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
NIL, transfer portal, you name it. It's just changed so much since I started doing this in 2018. What can you tell me about maybe part of the recruiting process that people don't know very much about, or it's not discussed so much in the public that is kind of factoring into what's going on right now?
Yeah, recruiting is changing. Um, One thing I would say is two things. One, build relationships, like build genuine relationships. Um, However that may be, whether that's going to camps, whether that is going to like for parents, like trying to get into different socials or things like that. Just building genuine relationships, and and then just getting into some of these circuits to where you can be seen, because that's the biggest thing. Like being able to put the product out there, put yourself out there, whether that be 7-on-7, whether that's going to a prospect camp, or going to one of the Under Armour or camps or one of those things, or putting them in some of the like the travel ball when they're younger, to get them that exposure to where they can get seen. And that's because that's the biggest thing, like being able to be seen, and also utilize the platforms, the social media platforms, in the proper way. Utilize them, post their their workouts, post their highlights, post their games, the things of that nature. Also, be marketable. Um, And I think that's like the biggest thing, especially like now how this new age is with social media and marketability and all those things like that. Like that helps play a part of you being seen, and it helps with their recruiting. I mean, but the biggest thing is perform. You know, perform whenever you're in front of people. Yeah, it's good to be seen, but when you're in front of them, you have to perform. So put the extra time in to work on your craft, whether that be you're a running back, quarterback, getting invested in the trainer, or continuing to invest in your knowledge, whatever that is. Just continue to hone in on your craft and then just put it out there.
Great stuff. Yeah, I think that's obvious. Those are huge tips to have, and kind of the recruiting 101. I think when you're starting to get your name out there and hoping to get some looks from major colleges. Um, so that's awesome. I appreciate that, Coach. The final one I'll kind of send you off here on.
Mhm.
We talked about your program HD Performance and then 24K. So I just kind of wanted to give you the floor here. If there was anything that you wanted to share about HD Performance, what you guys are doing, or 24K, whatever it is, the floor is yours to kind of just share whatever last remarks you have.
First, man, I just wanted to thank the guy that with 24K for bringing me along. Like I said, I'm originally from Virginia, so when I moved down to Florida, they gave me an opportunity to come in and be a part of the family. I think those guys are doing a great job. We are doing a great job. And continuing to grow relationships and build the organization and everything. And they've been blessed to have some elite guys, including Messiah and other guys in his class. And it's one of the premier 7-on-7 programs in the country. So just want to highlight them. Um, Co-founders Damon Jones, Chris Mitchell, Stephen Moffitt, all those guys, man, they doing. I just want to give kudos out to them. And then with AG Performance, I started AG Performance back in 2020 during the COVID. Was still playing a little bit, and then like COVID hit, and I was doing some production, and it kind of like everything got shut down. And I was just like, man, you know what? I had trained my first athlete in 2015 when I was still in school, and it kind of had happened organically. A parent that saw me, we was doing like 1-on-1s and 7-on-7 back home during one of the breaks, and he came up to me. He was like, "Man, like I saw you talking to my son and helping him out. Like he really take to you. Like my son don't really take to a lot of people." And he was like, "Would you train him?" And I was like, yeah. He was like, "I'll pay you." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll train him." You know what I mean? But I was like, I thought about it because I'm like, I never really trained anybody before. But then I did that in 2015. I did it all the way until I went back to school for grad school. So then come full circle back in 2020. I'm like, look, man, for what was still open in the job, I'm like, man, I can train a few athletes and make that money. I said, but on the biggest thing is I can use that to serve my purpose, and that's kind of help young men grow and be better young men and be better football players, and help them in a relationship and growing with Christ. I'm like, so that's why I started HD Performance, and it has two meanings behind it. It first started out as he's different, because that's the first thing. The first athlete that I trained, that was his report back to the guy who connected us. He was like, man, he different. Like his training is different. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna start it off with that, and then as I continue to grow, like the HD stands for His Divine, because everything is divine, through God, and I'm strong, in my faith and everything like that. So that's why I was like, okay, it's a two-part. I'm just transitioning it to those two meanings, and that's kind of my background about how we got started and everything like that. I've been blessed, man, to have some elite guys and at the college ranks and the high school ranks, multiple 5 stars. Had one of the top 3 guys in college with the PFF grade, Jacory Roberson. So it's just like it's been blossoming, and just continuing to grow it. Like I said, I'm based here in Orlando. I do travel sometimes, but guys from all over the country come in and train. And so I've just been blessed to continue to grow that business.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming on here today, Coach, and giving us some of your time, sharing some of your story, sharing some of Messiah's story. It's been awesome talking to you, and I really appreciate the time. I already shared, your socials, so if you guys want to see more of what Coach Wheels has going on, make sure you guys tap in with him on Twitter /X. You can find me anywhere at mtorresports. And you can subscribe to the Scoop Duck on 3 YouTube channel. And we'd love if you came and joined the party over at scoopduck.com with Oregon on a big recruiting heater right now. But that'll do it for today's episode. Again, thank you to Coach Wheels, and thank you to you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Ducks Dish podcast.
Max,